Hello, my beautiful creepy people. I hope we're all having a dreadfully delightful Wednesday. Although I don't know when you're going to actually be watching this video, so let's just say I hope you have a dreadfully delightful whatever day this is, because we know my schedule. My videos come out whenever. Now, with that being said, I know we haven't done Reddit stories in quite some time on the channel, so I'm bringing that back. This is going to be an addition to the deep dives that I've been doing, so these are going to be less edited, more just me telling a story like I used to. So without further ado, grab your blankets, grab your whiskey wine, or coffee, whichever you prefer, and let's get into it. Some haunted places don't scream, they whisper. They seep into your dreams, your thoughts, your nerves, until one day you find yourself too afraid to sleep, too afraid to stay. Tonight, I'm sharing two true stories from people who lived through very real hauntings, the kind that don't end when you turn off the camera. Our first story takes us to Detroit, Michigan, a peaceful apartment tucked away among lush oak trees and a charming garden. It seemed like a dream come true for one grad student, until the nightmares began. Okay, this is a bit long, but everything in this post is real. I live in Detroit, Michigan, and this happened to me a few years ago. I don't even like to think about it, but I know writing it out may help me set those horrific experiences free in a healthy way. After graduating from undergrad, financial strain led me to a temporary stay with my brother while I awaited acceptance into graduate school. When I was finally admitted to the MBA program, I found an affordable apartment near Detroit, nestled amid a picturesque garden. The summer was coming to an end, and I really needed to find a place before the fall semester started. After days of searching, I finally found an apartment that fit my budget and was in a decent location. What truly drew me in, however, was its setting. Nestled amid lush greenery and surrounded by towering oak trees, the complex exuded a serene, almost enchanting allure. The tour showcased an underground swimming pool and a spacious shared laundry room, both connected to the apartment's cozy lobby, where tenants would go whenever they needed assistance. Adding to the charm, a vibrant flower garden flourished just outside, giving it the perfect final touch. The application process was swift, and before I knew it, I was moving into what seemed like that perfect place. It almost felt too good to be true. But after all the stress, financial strain, and misfortunes I had endured, I convinced myself I deserved this moment of peace. But that peace didn't last. From the moment I arrived, an oppressive heaviness settled over the apartment. At first, I dismissed it, attributing it to the exhaustion from unpacking. But then came the nightmares. Every night, for the first 3 nights, I had the same reoccurring nightmare. I found myself trapped in the same flickering hallway, the air thick with agony. On the first night, I heard the tortured wails of a man. The next night, it was identical, but instead of a man, it was a woman's cries of despair. By the 3rd night, it was the haunting sobs of children. Each repetition grew more disturbing, the terror clinging to me long after I woke up. After the 3rd night, I could no longer ignore the feeling of being watched. Whether I was showering, eating, studying, or even sleeping, the sensation of unseen eyes bore into me. Sometimes it was so overwhelming, I'd whip around expecting to see someone, but there was never anyone there. I tried to rationalize it, chalking it up to nerves, but deep down I knew something was terribly wrong. Unlike most people, I didn't dismiss these encounters as tricks of the mind. My background in quantum physics, science, and spirituality had already led me to a chilling realization. Ghosts, as we imagine them, are not just lingering spirits of the dead. They are something far more complex. At the quantum level, we are not solid beings, but rapidly vibrating particles of energy. According to the laws of thermodynamics, energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. When we die, our bodies decay, but our energy, or what some might call a soul, remains. There's even a substance called protoplasm, and some even suggest that the concentrated energy of former deceased people can harvest energy from other sources, like especially during a full moon. Depending on how much energy can be transferred, a ghost can be anything from an orb of light to a blob of moving energy, or a shadow. And sometimes, if the circumstances are aligned, it can be a full-blown apparition of the physical person, the way they remember themselves to be before they died. Other times, it can use whatever energy it has to manipulate or move items, but I still don't understand why some are stronger, more ominous than others. Also, why do they do this stuff? The paranormal presence I was dealing with definitely felt angry and evil. Even when I tried acknowledging its presence, things would get worse. So anyway, in that apartment, I was certain I wasn't alone. I tried so hard to convince myself that it was just my wild imagination, but deep down, I knew what was really happening. I just didn't want to admit it for the sake of my own peace. What made me confirm that it was something paranormal or beyond this world was my cat. Around the second week after moving in, his behavior took a disturbing turn. As I sat in the living room one evening, my cat meowed incessantly and stared fixedly at an empty space behind me. His gaze was unblinking and intense, sending shivers down my spine. Despite my attempts to comfort him, he remained transfixed, shifting his fearful state toward the door. Over the next few weeks, weird phenomena escalated. Objects vanished only to reappear in bizarre locations. My cat's behavior grew erratic. One night, after a few glasses of wine, I decided to record some music in my walk-in closet. I set up my microphone and studio equipment in the closet because it was very effective in blocking any nearby ambiance, which helped ensure crisp, clear recordings. I'll never forget this. The recording volume captured strange, unintelligible radio broadcasts, despite my Wi-Fi being turned off. Not that this would even help. As I adjusted the volume, a cabinet in the kitchen slammed shut with a force so clear through my headphones that it nearly deafened me. The unmistakable noise confirmed something was definitely inside my apartment. At this time, I had a wine bottle inside the closet with me. I specifically remember it was almost empty, and I was going to grab another bottle. Instead, I just finished what was left and placed it right next to the Scarlett interface. It's a tool I use to record from the microphone, and it is also where I adjust the volume recording settings. After hearing the cabinet shut, I opened the closet door and saw the empty wine bottle drop, as if it was in midair and fell on the futon in my room. My heart sank because this was the very first time I was able to confirm something was messing with me. I sharply turned around to see if perhaps I foolishly left another bottle there, but I didn't. The empty wine bottle had definitely moved, and what scared me even more is the fact that I'm not a big drinker. Once in a while, I'll have some wine and make music, or just have a glass while eating steak or while writing. I know I wasn't drunk or disoriented. So, I quickly grabbed the empty bottle and went to the kitchen to throw it out. When I entered the kitchen, my heart dropped again. Not only did I hear a cabinet close while inside the closet, I was now staring at the wine cabinet, which was now open. This really freaked me out because I am so OCD when it comes to stuff like that. For example, when I put away my groceries, cans, pasta, etc., I always make each item's front label face me so I don't have to scramble through them. I also never leave a closet or drawer open. It just really bothers me. I don't know why, but it does. For the wine, I always stored the bottles in the cabinet neatly, with the front of the bottles facing me. But when I went to close the cabinet, all 3 bottles I had, still closed, were now shifted. One bottle was knocked on its side, and the other 2 had their fronts facing each other, almost as if they looked like 2 inanimate objects having a conversation. I remember getting so freaked out that I moved them to the lower cabinet, in case they should ever somehow fall out and break. Now at this point, my cat, once playful, now spent his time hiding in corners or the closet. His eyes were dilated and his movements jerky. His meows turned into low, guttural cries. At times, he sat rigidly, staring at nothing with unnatural focus. Attempts to distract him were futile. He remained in his trance-like state. The situation worsened. My cat became unapproachable and contorted his body in unnatural ways. I captured these disturbing moments on video. His body twisting at impossible angles, his back propped up as if supported by some unseen force. I feared he was possessed or afflicted by some malevolent force. Despite trying various protective measures and spiritual remedies, nothing alleviated the disturbances. The apparition ceased as soon as we left the apartment to visit my parents, reinforcing my belief in a dark presence. My cat's agitation and the unexplained events convinced me the apartment was indeed haunted. My cat isn't neutered, and I don't care what most people say about that because animals only have one purpose: to make offspring. Humans can have sex for fun and we can do so many other things, but for most animals, it's all they will ever have. I strongly believe that anyone who neuters their cat or dog ends up with a cute living stuffed animal that is alive. My cat has such a strong personality. He loves to go out and explore. I always let him out of the apartment and he'd always be there waiting for me when I leave, to let him back in. One day, he never returned, and I was very worried. It was right around 4 a.m. and I saw him, right outside my little porch. I lived on the second floor, but we had a shared patio on the first floor. I saw my cat having with an invisible entity. It was so traumatizing. My cat was drooling. I've never in my life seen a cat drool. His eyes were shifted behind his head and he was thrusting back and forth. I yelled his name and he immediately snapped out of it. When he regained a sense of where he was, he darted straight towards me as if he was running away from the devil himself. I have so many more stories, evidence, videos, and photos which prove something was very weird about that apartment. Sometimes I remember waking up feeling possessed. I jerked my body around. One night I was sleepwalking. I never sleepwalk. And was in the kitchen standing there with the faucet on, and I was literally just standing there. Another time I got a pizza and put it on the kitchen counter after work. I put my keys on the hook, went to my bedroom to change, and came back to find the pizza missing. I was so confused that I even went back to my car to see if I forgot it. I convinced myself it was cognitive blindness. No. When I came back, super confused by the way, my heart dropped. The pizza box was on the floor of my living room, wide open, and my car keys were somehow on top of the pizza box. How? I literally just took my keys off the hook to unlock my car when I thought my pizza was still in there. One night, things got so bad that I woke up sweating and felt like something was pressing my chest down. My cat at this time was digging his face into me, clearly afraid at what entity he was able to see. I then heard this weird voice say,
"Here, kitty, kitty."
Oh my fucking god. I didn't even pack. I grabbed my cat, my keys, my phone, my wallet, and sped my ass out of there at 3 a.m. and went to my parents' house. Eventually, I stopped sleeping there. I'd only go during the day, and whenever it was night, I packed my things and sleep at my parents' house with my cat. So many other things happened to me and my cat while living there. I can share, but it's a lot. I also documented everything that ever happened to me because my brother is such a skeptic, and even he finally agreed that shit was just not normal. After moving out, my cat's behavior returned to normal. The relief was immense as the dark energy seemed to lift once we left. I've recorded numerous unsettling incidents, and you can view the brief video of my cat's strange behavior here. He sees this entity and follows it. This was so common. He would always follow it and hop and follow it some more, and then he would start freaking out. I have a lot more videos and stuff, but this is just for the sake of my post. My experience at this apartment, which I nicknamed Haunted Gardens, remains a chilling testament to the inexplicable forces that can disrupt our lives. Now, before we dive into the next chilling tale, take a moment to shake off that eerie feeling that lingers from haunted gardens. Sometimes haunted places don't just trap souls, they trap memories, emotions, and the fear that something unseen is waiting just behind you. Our next story is no less unsettling. From an apartment with a sinister presence to a trailer that harbored shadows from another realm, these stories remind us that hauntings don't just happen in mansions or abandoned asylums. They happen in homes where you least expect them. Haunted places aren't just about creaking doors or cold spots. They're about how they reach into your life and refuse to let go. And while the Detroit department left one student questioning his sanity, our next story takes us somewhere entirely different. An old trailer in Southwest Virginia, where the haunting wasn't just seen by one person, but by the whole family. As a child, my family moved around a lot. I never knew why until I was an adult and realized it had much to do with my mother's ADHD. Maybe she was running from something. My older sister says she was protecting us. Anyway, we moved nearly 30 times before I graduated high school. In many of the homes we lived in, I saw things that only I could see. This one place is among the most remarkable. I was 14. It was 1984 in summertime. My family had just moved into a single wide trailer in Large Trailer Park. Immediately, I began to see and hear things, and it took me a few days to realize they were paranormal. I would lay in my bed at night and hear loud growls coming from under my bed. From my room, I would also hear my mother in the kitchen and smell food cooking in the early hours, pans clanking and such. And I'd go into the kitchen and the lights are off, and no one's there. This happened many times, and everyone in the house says they experienced this at least once. My mother would wake us up in the middle of the night with the door wide open, screaming, "Leave us alone! Please, just leave!" This happened a lot. I remember my aunt coming over to take care of us because my mom was in the hospital, and she made us all sleep together in the living room because she was scared. The most terrifying experience was early one morning. I was wide awake and laying in bed. The bedroom door was wide open. Everyone was asleep, and I could see down the hall into the kitchen. I saw a short, dark figure with a hunchback rise off the kitchen table and slowly walk down the hall toward my door. When it reached my door, it stared at me briefly and turned away. I was terrified, gasping for breath. It was just dark with no features. I believed it to be a woman, but I'm not really sure. Anyway, we moved shortly after. This is the only house we lived in that everyone saw things. Usually, it was just me. Not every haunting is loud or violent. Sometimes the scariest places are the ones that slowly crawl under your skin, changing your reality bit by bit, until you question your own sanity. Whether it's the haunting gardens of Detroit or the shadow-filled trailer in Virginia, one thing remains the same. These places, they don't just haunt the rooms. They haunt the people who dare to live there. Ghosts, spirits, energies, whatever you believe they are, one truth lingers. When you step into a place marked by darkness, you never leave unchanged. Be sure to subscribe for more eerie tales and legends.